Hey guys, it's Shanda. How are you? And welcome to Shanda Says. I have a question for you guys. What kind of woman is a mistress? Is she a slut? Is she a whore? Is she beneath us as a woman? Is she a woman that just doesn't care? She comes in and she wreaks havoc. She destroys families. She destroys marriages. But what kind of woman goes and takes that step with a person that they know they can't be with? What kind of woman decides to get into a relationship with a married man? This is a subject I've never spoken about. I don't even think I've done it on Man and White, but I did think it was interesting to talk about because all around us we're hearing things about, Will and Jada and so many couples that are basically going outside of their marriage. And oftentimes the behavior is expected of men. But what kind of woman sleeps with a married man? Well, part of giving advice is when you're listening to someone that you love and you respect and you watch Shanda Says, you want to basically know I know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to share with you, and it's not something that I'm proud of. It's not something I've ever even admitted, but I had an affair with a married man. And I decided to reveal this because if I'm going to talk about this subject, I want you guys to know that comes from a place of experience. And I want to say right now, it's not something I'm proud of, and it's definitely one of the things in my life that I regret. But I'm going to share my story in hopes that you learn from it. If you've ever been through this, if you can relate to it, or if you've been married and a woman came in and hurt your family, maybe me telling my story gives you, and every situation is different, I want to say that. But years ago, this was before I met my husband, I worked at a place and I met this man. And I'll be honest, it was a time in my life that I was single. And I'm one of those women that when I'm single, I'm lonely. I love being in a relationship. And, they tell you should be happy to be by yourself. But I'm just one of those women that I like being with a man. I like being in a relationship. But anyway, I was alone. This man came into my life, basically swept me off my feet. Older gentleman swept me off my feet, and he just had manners, he had tact, he was just, and I like that, like men that are kind of old school. And I fell in love with him, and once we slept together, forget it, because our chemistry was just like, poof, poof. It was just bam. Like, people would be in the room with us and could feel the electricity between us. And I just felt so hard for this man and hoped to have a life with him. I wanted to have a child with him. And all these dreams that I had, and I found out that he was married. Now, I will admit to you, when I found out, it devastated me. I was crying. I was throwing up. I'm one of those women that I feel things. When I'm hurting, I'm just all over the place. And when he finally told me that he was married, it was devastating to me because all my dreams I felt were like out of the window. It just wasn't going to happen. I wasn't going to be with him. So at that moment, I should have made the decision that I'm not going to see him anymore. But I will be honest with you and tell you that I chose to stay with him because by that time I had fallen in love with him. And even though upon me finding out, I went through a hiatus with him, I was like, I can't believe you lied to me. I can't trust you. But I also missed him. And I also missed our intimate time together. I missed being with him. But I wish that I would have made a better decision not to stay involved in this relationship. I will tell you, during the whole time in the relationship, all I felt was guilt. I knew better. And I was still doing and acting in a way that I knew that as a woman, as Shanda, as a woman, don't you love live? My phone was ringing. But as a woman, I knew better. And I knew that I should not be acting this way. My mother raised me better. I know better. Why am I doing this? How am I getting involved with this man? He's married. What about his wife? What about his family? And I realized that this is just not a subject we women talk about because, you know what, society looks at us women and they hold us more accountable. And there's a higher level of respect that as a woman they expect us to have. But I will tell you, when I was in that relationship, I was never in a position of power. everything rotated around when he could come see me, when he could come spend time with me. Or he said he could come and didn't show up, and I had just been in the house waiting for hours and hours. I could not call. When he came to my house, he had to have the same soap that he kept at his house because he couldn't smell different. There's so much that goes into sneaking and hiding that I feel so horrible right now. Should have turned my phone off. But that's the beauty of Shanda Says. You never know what you're going to get. But anyway, back to the subject. I knew better. And there was just so much sneaking going on and lying. And I'll be honest with you, a part of the sneaking is exciting. There's an excitement that comes to it. And I think this is why there's a thrill, there's a power that comes to when a person goes outside their marriage. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to look back and see the damage you cause and the havoc you wreak. Because being in an affair is basically a very selfish act. And I'm not saying there are not situations where you can see how it happens. Because you could be with someone in your life, you could be married to someone that you do not need to be married with. And you meet someone that you probably should be with, but you're still married. So you got to clean up that situation before you can move on. So what I want to share with you is if you've ever been a mistress, or you've thought about it, or you've entertained it, or you've fallen in love with someone who is with someone else, you got to realize you have to have a thick skin. You got to be able to give up your power. You got to be able to deal with your guilt. And you got to be able to think about how it's going to make you feel. I've always been a person that prided myself that I could look at myself in the mirror because I treat people good. And I have respect. But that was a time during my life that I wasn't giving a lot of respect to someone else who didn't even know me. So, you know, I hope that I don't lose viewers after admitting this. But I do want to share with you that when I give you advice, it comes from a place of experience. And I felt like, you know, it's a topic that we rarely talk about. And who wants to talk about a mistress? Because this woman is, what kind of woman is her? Look at Alicia Keys. She lost a lot of fans behind that. But to me, it takes a big person to admit things. And in doing Shanda Says, I want to be able to share my life with you. I'm an open book. I have to be. But I'm interested in knowing what you feel about this topic. If you've ever fallen in love with a married man or a man that is with another woman. Or have you ever fallen in love with anyone? Have you ever felt guilt going outside of your marriage or your relationship because you were so unhappy? Those are all things that I wish to hear from you guys. And always know that I love you and always want to touch on topics that, you know, we always don't kind of, the topics that are swept under the rug or the pink elephant in the room, those kind of things. I love talking about these things. But anyway, I look forward to your feedback. And until Wednesday, Wednesday's going to be a heater. But I love you, and until next time, bye-bye.